Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're always very pleased to have the finest congressional team in the country present. They fight hard on a day-to-day basis. They fight well. They fight in behalf of our city and our state. They've been working together on issues that impact all of us, not only here through Michigan. Let's give our congressional delegation another hand. Thank you very much for fighting for Detroit and fighting for Michigan. We're now pleased to move towards the presentation of special awards, and I'm going to direct it to Ms. Chanel Jackson, who was a representative from the city of Detroit, who was one of our Great Expectation winners last year. And we are going to present at this time the first Great Expectation Award to the Honorable Bert Johnson. Let's hear from the Honorable State Representative Chanel Jackson.
Praise the Lord. I'm Representative Chanel Jackson, and it is an honor to be here today to recognize someone who is very important to me. You know, our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about things that matter. That's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Senator Bert Johnson has lived his life by that mantra, and he exudes it in everything that he does, in every circumstance that he faces as our leader in the Michigan Senate. He champions the issues of the people whose voices are often unheard in the hallways and chambers of the Michigan legislature. He is widely recognized by his colleagues on both sides of the aisle in both chambers as a man of substance who will stand and challenge those who wish to hinder the progress of the city of Detroit who threaten to bring harm to our state's most vulnerable citizens, our children and our seniors. Before being elected to the Michigan Senate, Senator Johnson was Representative Johnson, and I'm honored to say he's my work best friend and was my seatmate in the Michigan House of Representatives. But he served as the chairman for 4 years of the Detroit delegation. Under his leadership, with his diligence and his vision and his advocacy, the Detroit delegation opened doors and passed laws that we had been fighting for decades, including transportation reform and education reform. Without any further ado, I would like to bring forward this year's Great Expectations, winner, my leader, our leader in the Michigan Senate, Senator Bertram Johnson.
Good evening, Detroit. Oh no, let's do this again. Good evening, Detroit. It is so good to be here with you, and I am incredibly humbled at this honor. I need to pay homage to the leader of this NAACP, the biggest, the baddest, the boldest across the United States of America, Reverend Wendell Anthony. You know, I wondered what I would talk about when I came here because I don't write speeches, and I wanted to talk to you from my heart. And it hit me when I walked in this building that my family has been in this city over 100 years, and that I stand on the shoulders of giants. One of them is the matriarch of our family who's sitting in the green section. Leola Logan, Bertram Johnson, Mildred Cornelius, Helena Eccleston, people who all expected me to do something with my life. And I gotta tell you, serving in the Michigan Senate is no easy cup of tea. But I represent today the 5 senators from Detroit, the 12 representatives from the city of Detroit, who each day, in spite of the fact that we do not have the majority in the Michigan legislature, that we do not lay down, we do not roll over, we do not laugh when it's not funny, but we get up every day and we drive out I-96 to work and to bring something back to this city. I'm reminded that the expectation for all of us is success, and that this NAACP branch, it has embodied that for years. I had an opportunity to curry our great Congressman John Lewis from the airport one day, and my former boss asked me, would I mind going to the airport to pick him up? I jumped at it because I'm also reminded that the leadership of our young people must walk hand in hand with those who have won battle after battle after battle from years past, and that John Lewis has done that unflinchingly, and that the ferocious leadership of our NAACP persists in an America that denies people basic human rights. So today, as I leave this podium with this award that I give back to my family for all that they have given to me, I'm reminded that I need to challenge you, that my expectation for those of you in this room is to pick up the mantle for the people who are disenfranchised, those without health care, children who are waiting to be educated, people who are put out of their homes, and the people across the city of Detroit that are waiting for us to deliver them back to a place of promise like this city put this country in the world in a position to have in the first place. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. Let's give Bert another hand for the work that he does, for supporting and working with our city and our community. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge and thank those who have enabled me to be where I am today. I certainly want to introduce and acknowledge the first mother, Mrs. Ida Patton. I want her to stand, my mother who enables me to be what I am. Please stand. She has that hat on. I told her that she thought she was going to the wedding in England, but she went to the dinner in Detroit. And I certainly want to introduce my wife who was with child. She has to be one of the loveliest mothers to be that you've ever seen, Miss Monica Anthony. Please stand. Amen. Looking forward to it. Thank you, and all those who've helped us to be where we are today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an exciting award that I'm getting ready to present. A lot of folk have been talking about this award. A lot of folk been saying, what he gonna say, what he gonna do? I know y'all sitting out there can't wait, can you? Well, I am gonna say something. I am gonna do something. I see you over there, Hugh Perkins, waiting to see what I can say so you can go back and report it on the news tonight. I see Chuck Stokes waiting to see what I'm going to say so you can go back and report it on the news. I know, it's all good. But ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to be able to honor people whose work is worthy of recognition. And so in that regard, let me say this. In times like these, the lakes and pines, they bleed of beauty and grace, and the rivers, they run wild like an endless race. The forests soar so high, then fall to the sea as church bells ring and sing in harmony. I heard them say they're shutting Detroit down, but I won't leave because this is my hometown. And it's time like these we can't replace. It's time like these we must embrace. And even though it's bittersweet and brings us to our knees, it makes us who we are in times like these. Those are the words of Kid Rock about the city of Detroit. In times like these. For such a time as this, listen real carefully. For such a time as this, Our city needs boosters. It needs advocates. It needs folk who will remind the world of who we are and who we ain't. Our recipient of this year's Great Expectation Award is none other than 5 times nominee, Kid Rock. Kid Rock has been and is a champion for our city. He has won Detroit from his head to his toe. His recent Caribbean tour was a reflection of Detroit on the open seas. His Made in Detroit clothing line has been used not only to provide jobs, but also to provide scholarships with local musical students. His Bad Ass Beer, in which he has built companies to employ people in Detroit. I didn't name it, he did. That beer is working to employ people in our city. Kid Rock has established and Made in Detroit Endowment Scholarship Program with Wayne State University for students in southeastern Michigan with limited financial resources. He has worked with the Myers franchise and Fox 2 for distribution of food during Thanksgiving and scholarships with thousands of people. He has been awarded and shared the Motown sound with the Motown family at the Renaissance Center during the 50th anniversary of Motown, singing with Stevie Wonder, the Temptations, Four Tops, and others. He brought his 40th birthday celebration down to Ford Field in the heart of the city with over 60,000 people from all around our region earlier this year. As a person whose musical tentacles spread from the north to the south, Kid Rock, who plays hard rock, particularly in the southern region of this nation, has been on both the cutting edge of musicology and the slippery slope of political dichotomy, using both the symbols of Old Glory and the Old Confederacy in his videos. He has stirred the pot. While we in the NAACP, listen, while we in the NAACP and those who believe in equity and equality do not condone, support, or nurture the old Confederacy or its symbol. And like President Barack Obama, we believe that it belongs in a museum as a relic of history. And even though it's bittersweet and brings us to our knees, it makes us who we are in times like these. We are not saluting a flag, we are saluting the work of the kid who has rocked Detroit with this Kid Rock Foundation, supporting the Commodus Cancer Institute while working with students in Romeo High School, Arts and Beats in Royal Oak, supporting Made in Detroit, picnics in Pontiac, entertaining our troops in Afghanistan, receiving the Spirit of Detroit award at Ford Field, invited to sing before 4 living presidents to motivate community service throughout America. We are pleased to honor The Rock, this man who stands up for Detroit, who speaks out for Detroit, and who is not ashamed to tell people he is from Detroit. We continue to have great expectations, not only today, but for the future. As Kid Rock says, in times like these, I heard them say that you can't save that town, but I won't leave. I'm gonna stand my ground. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2011 Great Expectation Award winner, Robert James Ritchie, better known as Kid Rock. And he is here with his son, young Bobby Ritchie. Let's welcome them.
This is awesome. Amen. Thank you, Reverend. Not only for that, but just for having my back in general through this whole fiasco. And I want to move on to take a negative and turn it into a positive. That's what I thought I'd do with this moment with all the cameras and press here. But first, I've never flown that flag with any hate in my heart at all. Not 1 ounce. It's strictly, I sing a song that Leonard Skinner made popular, one of the biggest Southern rock groups, and I feel like I'm paying homage to them by doing it. And, I thought it looked cool and, whatever. But what I'd like to do is take this media attention here, and I have another song where I say the least I can do is care. That's a lie. I can do more than care. So I set up the Kid Rock Foundation. We operate as 0 overhead, not 1 penny of overhead. And I thought I'd take this time I met with the mayor a few weeks ago, and I asked him, I said, before we have our meeting, because we're going to do some big things in Detroit, and well, that's for another time. I said, can you name me some organizations that need some help down here? Because it's hard for me to research them and know who's really doing the right things. And together we came up with 5 of them. And I'd like to, Youthville, Detroit.
That's what I'm talking about.
There's $10,000 for Youthville. Habitat for Humanity, Detroit. Another $10,000. One of my favorite places to go as a kid, Belle Isle, for the conservatory, $10,000. Partners in the Detroit Recreation Center, $10K for you too. The Mosaic Youth Theater of Detroit, $10,000 for you. And now on behalf of not only the NAACP, but on our city of Detroit, even though we don't have a lot right now, we're going through very tough times. We're fortunate enough that we haven't been touched by Mother Nature like our friends in the South have. So I want to take off our plate in Detroit, show our true spirit of Detroit and the NAACP, and send $50,000 to the victims of the tornadoes, to the American Red Cross. That's what Detroit City's all about right there. Thank you so much for the award. This is by far the coolest award I've ever received in my lifetime. I'll cherish it forever. I just want to say I love America, I love Detroit, and I love black people. Yeah!
That's the rock I'm talking about. Give him another hand. That's the rock. That's the rock. That's why we do what we do. That's the rock we're talking about right there. At this time.